Today we're going to be talking all about mindset. We're going to talk about the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And we're basing all of this around one of my favorite characters during the holiday season, the Grinch. So if you guys want to see and hear about the Grinch mindset, then you have found the right video. So let's dive right in. Regardless if you are a fan of the Christmas holiday, if you celebrate it or not, I guarantee you that you've probably seen one of my favorite characters this holiday season, and that would be the Grinch. Yes, I even have my Grinch earrings. And when I was thinking about wanting to do a training on growth mindset, I really was inspired by the Grinch. And I'm gonna walk you through this, so just stick with me here. But I really wanted to kind of show a great parallel and something that we can kind of compare this to. A growth mindset, you've probably heard a lot about in the Scentsy business or outside of the Scentsy business. But it truly is something that is very, very important, not only in your business, but for other means along the way as well. But being able to have a growth mindset is something that is going to help propel you to reaching your goals, to really pushing yourself in your business to do more, to be a little bit better than you were maybe the previous month, to work on building that team. All of the different pieces that go into our business really come down to mindset and intention. So being able to really scale back and look at these things is going to only improve you and your business. All right, so yeah, you guys have probably heard of the Grinch, right? And we can all relate to the Grinch, maybe in some little bit of a way, right? So even if you don't think that you're able to relate to the Grinch, you probably are, right? Like they have the saying of that the Grinch necessarily didn't like Christmas, he just didn't like people, right? Because he was all about not wanting to be a part of the culture of Christmas, right? So if we look at it from a different perspective, right, there's that whole culture around Christmas time, especially there in Whoville, right? Everybody's celebrating, they're decorating, it's all about gifts and presents, and he wanted none of that. He didn't like it, he didn't believe in it, and it really upset him. So as we break that down, it's not that he really didn't like Christmas, he just didn't like the Who's for celebrating Christmas, right? He didn't like all of the things that they were doing. Now, outside of that, we can maybe relate to that, right? Maybe there's some things that you're just not that into, or you don't like something simply because of the way that it's done or how it's handled, things like that. Now, the Grinch had been a Grinch for quite a while. We get that from the fable, right? But he really was living in a fixed mindset. That fixed mindset is what keeps you from growing. It's what also keeps you from making any changes, to trying something new, to getting out of that comfort zone. And so he stayed being the Grinch every single Christmas because he felt there was no point in trying, right? You can't make the Who's see things differently. You can't make them understand what he was feeling. So therefore, nothing ever changed. Year after year, season after season, he was just the Grinch. So if we say that the Grinch really felt there was no point in trying to change anything, would you say that maybe he had some self-doubt when it came to thinking he had the ability to make things different. Yeah. So we can all relate in some form or another of having self-doubt. And a lot of that more than likely comes from the horrible, dreaded comparison bug, right? You guys have seen or heard or experienced this yourself, right? You see other people in the Scentsy business who are extremely successful or who have shot all the way up and promoted all the way to superstar director and barely even joined, right? So they've done their journey very quickly. Maybe you've seen people who have a great presence online or really are good at graphics or packaging or really consistent and doing really well with putting together the cutest samples or the greatest whiff boxes or scent crates that you've ever seen in your life. And you're like, there's no way I'm that person. There's no way mine will look like that, right? We all have those feelings of self-doubt, and really being able to get past those is going to get us into that growth mindset, because that fixed mindset is the thing that holds us back, that feeds that self-doubt, that says they're doing better because they're just better at it in some way or another, right? And we're not doing better because what's the use in trying? I'm not as crafty, or I'm not as skilled in graphics, or I don't really understand how they're able to sponsor and build a team so quickly, right? All of these things. So the Grinch really lived in that fixed mindset, right? Year after year, season after season, he was hating the Who's. He hated the Who's every single season. So when we talk about that fixed mindset, let's break that down just a little bit more as it pertains to our business, okay? You may experience with a fixed mindset that negative self-talk. That's where you feel, again, you're not good enough. You're not as good as, right? So that negative self-talk that holds you back, oh, I'll never earn an incentive. Only those top people earn those incentives. I'll never hit 2,000 PRV and get that monthly sales award, or I'll never get that annual mentor award. That's just way too out of reach for me. I'm just not good enough. That's that negative self-talk. Another thing with a fixed mindset is obstacles, right? Maybe things stand in your way. Maybe you have a full-time JOB or a couple part-time JOBs outside of Scentsy, right? Or you've got younger children, or you've got parents you're taking care of, or you yourself have health issues, things like that, right? You've got obstacles in your way. You don't have all the time in the world to spend working a business. You don't have all the time in the world to make great samples. You don't have the finances to get the cute bags and maybe have great postcards that go out, or have the ability to send out mailings every month, right? We have all these obstacles, all these things saying or giving us the perception of the reason to say, I can't do that because XYZ. When I see those obstacles coming up, and when I see and hear people talking about the obstacles standing in their way, that's usually when I see people giving up and saying, well, Scentsy's not for me, and giving up, wiping their hands clean and walking away. That's what normally happens. Another thing with a fixed mindset is comparison, right? Comparing ourselves to somebody else, maybe somebody more successful, somebody who does better and has amazing lives and can book great virtual parties and have a huge setup behind them, right? All the things that we all want to have. So feeling you're not good enough, that's going to keep you in that fixed mindset. Hopelessness can come to you in maybe a handful of different ways, but it's really all based around that I'm never going to be able to earn that incentive. I'm never going to be able to have a big team because nobody wants to join my team. That's hopelessness. Another piece of a fixed mindset is avoidance. Just avoidance, right? So when you're feeling those thoughts of hopelessness, when you're feeling those thoughts of self-doubt and that negative self-talk and that comparison and all the obstacles that you see standing in your way, that avoidance kicks in, and you stop showing up, right? If your sponsor or your upline or the people that you watch, right, you stop showing up for those trainings. You just stop. You don't go to those events, even though they might be virtual, right? World Tour, for example, coming up in January. And then we've got Family Reunion coming up in 2021, right? And you're like, I'm just not going to show up to those. And I'm not going to show up for the Tuesday training calls that Scentsy does. I'm not going to show up for those training calls that my upline or my team or my group does. Because, right? I've got obstacles. I'm never going to be good enough to do this business like they are. All of those things keep you in that fixed mindset. And that's really where the Grinch was living, right? All of those things, right? He felt hopeless. He felt that there were obstacles. He felt like there was no point. So there was an avoidance, right? He literally physically removed himself from Whoville, right? He's up in the mountain, okay? He's got that space of avoidance, that physical space. All of those things, fixed mindset. Let's shift here and start to think about the growth mindset. Now, you've all heard the fable, seen the fable, watched whatever different versions that you've watched over the years of the Grinch, right? So we all know that one major plot point of the fable, right, is that when his heart grew 3 times bigger that day, right? And you guys could maybe remember and imagine, at least in the original Dr. Seuss, where it's in this little box and you see the heart and it literally busts the box open, right? Busts it open because it grew. It broke the box. I want you to really picture that in your head. It breaking the box, because that box is that fixed mindset where he'd been living probably for years and years and years, and maybe where you find yourself living for some part of your Scentsy business. You feel like you're in this box. All the obstacles, all the hopelessness, all the comparison is surrounding you and keeping you here. We want you to break through that box. The only way you're going to do that is with a growth mindset. It's the only way you're going to be able to do that. So just like the Grinch, you've got to break the box. You have to. If we break this down a little bit more, what really changed for him? Did the Who's suddenly stop celebrating Christmas? No. Did they stop their singing? Even when faced with their own obstacle, right? Of the Grinch taking away Christmas, coming and taking the trees and the decorations and the presents and the cookies and all the things. He even took all of that away. Did the Who's change? No. They still woke up on Christmas morning. Yeah, they noticed things were gone. But according to the fable, according to our story, right, they all gathered and started singing, and they were still joyful and they were still thankful. So they didn't change. Christmas didn't change. It's not like suddenly Christmas was taken away or they decided no longer to participate in Christmas any longer. That didn't change. What changed was the Grinch's perception, or rather his mindset about Christmas and the Who's. That's what changed. Nothing else. That's what changed. Have you ever had a change of heart in your business? I know I personally have experienced that, and it was pretty early on in my journey with Scentsy. I'm going on 9 years. And I can tell you that it wasn't until maybe the first, almost maybe second year in, that I had that change of heart, that change of perspective. That's when my heart grew 3 times its size that day. That's when I can refer back to, that's when that happened. The whole point of this is that change was the representation of the growth mindset. That was the Grinch walking away from the fixed mindset, breaking the box, and realizing that there was more past the hopelessness, the obstacles, the comparison, the negative self-talk. There was so much more. Breaking down what is a growth mindset. Let's talk about that for just a quick second, okay? In a growth mindset, we come to the realization that failure is a natural thing. And that may be hard for some of you to really wrap your head around, right? Because most of us are raised, right, with that inner voice that says, failure, right? Failure. We have a fear of failure, whether that's when we're in our school years, whether that's when we're in our personal lives, business, anything, right? There's always that fear of failure. But I think we really have to move past that fear of failure, because at the end of the day, the quote rings true, right? There is nothing to fear but fear itself. Why are we so fearful of fear or failing? Why? Because the way that I look at this is that if you're not failing, you're not trying. That means you're not trying new things. You have to fail to grow. Everyone experiences failure. Everyone. And if we all stopped that initial time, or the 18th time, or the 180 millionth time that we've failed, then we'd never get to our full potential, right? So we have to really embrace the fact that failure is inevitable. Failure is a natural thing, and it's okay. It's okay to fail at something, because it's learning beyond that and putting ourselves in the mindset of, okay, this failed. How can I do it differently? What can I change to make this better? Now, remember, in a fixed mindset, we were very hopeless. We had that feeling of hopelessness. The opposite is true in a growth mindset. We're very hopeful, okay? We're hopeful. You have hope in yourself. And maybe that is working on that incentive. I have hope that I'm going to reach level 5 of the current incentive. Or I have hope. I'm going to believe in myself that I can earn annual mentor or annual sales, or I can get to that 2,000 PRV and have that monthly sales award. You have to be hopeful. And hope is what helps you move into the growth mindset and out of the fixed. We had a lot of self-doubt and a lot of self-negative talk to ourselves when we were in that fixed mindset. So when we are in a growth mindset, we have the opposite. We have self-awareness of, I can make a difference. I can make a difference. You can make a difference. Now, does that mean that you're going to make some huge difference, that because of you, everything is different, right? No, but at the same time, every single time that you have a conversation with someone about joining Scentsy, you are creating that self-awareness and realizing that you can make a difference for someone in their life. Would it make a difference for someone to be able to help their family financially? Heck yes, it would. Would it make a difference to give someone that self-confidence of what it feels like to earn that promotion, to earn an incentive trip for the very first time, to go to a Scentsy event and experience the culture of Scentsy? That's that self-awareness. That's that feeling of knowing that you can make a difference. You can make a difference with your team. You can make a difference with yourself in your own self-confidence. And you can make a difference when it comes to your customers and providing that amazing care and servant leadership mentality to your customers. How can I treat my customers the best that I can? Investing in yourself really comes into play when we talk about growth mindset. So if you want to be your best self, then you got to do what needs to be done. And a lot of that is going to be showing up for those trainings that your upline or your groups or your teams or that you see on YouTube or all the things, right? We've got so many resources for training ourselves in this business that it's insane. But you have to show up for those, and not just showing up, but you need to take what you are learning in those trainings, and by showing up and actually putting it into action, making those things actionable steps that you can take in your business to continue to move yourself forward. So investing in yourself is a really big piece of your Scentsy business. Let me be the one, if nobody has told you, this is one of the main key areas of focus that you need to have when it comes to your Scentsy business. Because let me tell you, without watching other leaders, without surrounding myself with like-minded people, I would not be where I am today in this business. I am thankful enough that I want to push myself to be the best that I can be. And in order to do that, you're going to have to surround yourself with like-minded people. And you're going to have to listen. And you're going to have to invest that time, even if it means watching or listening to a training on the way home from your job, or while you're cooking dinner, putting your phone or your tablet up and watching a quick video. Those are all the things that you can do, even around pushing around those obstacles of, oh, I'm just so busy, I don't have time. You have time for anything that you make time for. If it is important to you, you will make the time, right? We all know this. We all know this. Another piece of that growth mindset is inclusion. Everyone wants to feel included, right? So including yourself and pouring yourself into the things that, whether it's your upline, whether it's the groups you're participating in Facebook, whether it's the people that you follow on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, what have you, in this business, you need to know that your inclusion, that showing up, that putting yourself into it is really going to help you in that growth mindset and keep you there. That's the important thing too, right? Because even though you can move from a fixed mindset into a growth mindset and maybe have a great promotion happen, or maybe that means you're continuing to build your team, all of those things happen. But if you fall back into the fixed mindset, which can easily be done, then you have to be able to know how to bring yourself back again, and coming back to these core specific drivers of a growth mindset. That's where it all lives. So let's round out this Grinch mindset, right? And really pinpoint the things that we can do. What can we do to get to that growth mindset, to stay in that growth mindset? One, we can realize and remember that perfection does not exist. Nope, not for anybody. I don't care what highlight reel you're watching on Instagram. I don't care. Perfection does not exist. So even though it may look polished and like they've got the perfect setup, or they have the perfect house, or everything is always beautiful and the graphics are great, and I don't even know, right? I don't know, because I try my best, even though it's still a natural thing, right, to compare yourself to others. But you really have to look past that and realize that nobody is perfect. Everybody's making mistakes. Everybody is sometimes doubting themselves, but it's what you do with those things and what you do in your actions to realize that perfection, it's just not out there. Number two, this is one of my biggest reminders that I like to talk to my team members about, and it was one of Heidi's keynote speeches. And that was, when negative thoughts creep in, that negative self-talk creeps in, I'm never going to, I'm not going to, I'm not as good as, I'm not good enough. When all of that stuff starts creeping in, all you have to do is add one word to that sentence. Take any sentence that you'd like. Let's put this into action. I haven't earned an incentive yet. I haven't built a team yet. I'm not a director yet. I'm never going to sponsor a team member yet. Do you see what's happening there? We're recognizing that, for one, perfection doesn't exist. And for two, we are realizing those negative thoughts and saying, yep, you're there. I see you. Hi. But that doesn't mean that they're going to stop you. You just haven't done it yet. Number three kind of goes along those lines. And really, I want you to reinforce the fact that you can start to view things as a learning experience. So with that failure, with that hopelessness, with that self-talk, you're going to add the word yet, and you're going to really tell yourself and view things as, okay, when I tried to do that online Facebook party, it completely bombed. The host didn't show up. None of their guests showed up. I put a whole bunch of time and energy into that, and I got zero out of it. No sales, nothing happened. The host ghosted me. I don't know, right? Like, all the things went wrong. All the things went wrong. But if you move all of that and you learn from it and go, okay, that didn't work for me. Why? Maybe I need to put more time into hostess coaching, right? Maybe I need to talk to my host a little bit more and really finalize the pieces of that party. Or, oh, hey, maybe I realize that that host just like invited every single person that they knew on Facebook and nobody just really paid attention, right? Or I didn't really explain what Scentsy was, and therefore nobody bought anything because they weren't really familiar with Scentsy, so they didn't quite understand what I was doing in that party. Those are things that we can learn from. We can move past. We can learn from our failures, and we can grow from that and keep ourselves in the growth mindset. Number 4, you're going to realize that if you work hard, you will get ahead. Oh my gosh. Consistency, right? That is my favorite word ever. Consistency. But it's so true that if you realize that if you're putting in the hard work, if you're putting the intention and you're learning from your mistakes and you are showing up for trainings, all of those things, you're going to continue to do all of those things every single month. You're just going to keep going, keep going, keep going. And trust me when that happens. And I will be the first one to tell you that when all of those things are continuously going, then that promotion, that title, that incentive, that income that you're looking for is going to come. All of those things, it's just inevitable that if you keep going on that path of a growth mindset, that those things are going to come. Does it mean it's going to happen tomorrow? Maybe, maybe not though, right? You have to have the realization that those things are coming and you're going to continue to work hard for them. You just are. Number 5, you're going to remember that even after a storm comes a sun. We don't have rainbows without a storm, right? If your Scentsy journey was just so cut and dry and there was no failures and everything went perfectly and you woke up one day and you had a team of 1,000 and your sales were 4,000 or more every single month and it was just so easy, would you truly be able to talk to people about coming out of a fixed mindset and into a growth mindset, or what Sally needed to do in order to build her business because she's really wanting to make this thing work? Are you going to really be able to have the tools to be able to help your team members get there? Probably not. Because we all have to go through trials and failures and turbulations and obstacles to get to where we want to be. And it's being able to share the experiences of not only going through the obstacles, but what we did to overcome them. That is the learning lesson. The sun comes out after the storm. That's when you're going to shine your brightest, is after your storms. So you don't give up. And I'm going to end with what you can do with number 6, and that is remembering that you have got to surround yourself with your tribe. Your tribe is your like-minded people. As The Rock says, right, you should never be the hardest working person in the room. You should never be the smartest person in the room. And if you are the hardest working and the smartest person in the room, you need to move rooms. Because you're not going to grow in an area where you are the smartest, where you are the hardest worker. You're not going to grow because nothing's going to challenge you. You have to surround yourself with people who are doing the things that you want to accomplish, that are living the life that you want to get to. You have to be around the people who are doing the things and are in the places that you want to be. And you have to be willing to soak up the things that they're doing and really bring them home and bring them into your business, and learn to try new things and learn to trust yourself and trust your gut. If nothing else, you're going to trust your gut. The Grinch. He didn't like Christmas. But at the end of our fable, he realized what the true meaning was, right? The sun really did come out after the storm, and he realized that it wasn't about the presents and the lights and the trees. It was about being with the ones that you love. It was about really giving yourself to that purpose. You can do the same thing. Whether or not you are in the fixed mindset right now, or you're still striving to get to your goals, as long as you stay within a growth mindset and you remind yourself that you can do hard things, that you too, with hard work and perseverance and consistency, can get to the places that you want to be in your business. So take with you these nuggets, and I want you to remember the Grinch mindset. Even after the holidays, right? After the holiday season, maybe it's in May or June, and you're just like, what the heck? Remember the Grinch mindset. For myself, I'm going to also remember the Grinch mindset because I'm going to continue to push myself all through 2021. And you know what? You may see me sporting my Grinch earrings throughout the year. And some of you who may not ever watch this video may ask yourselves, why in the world is she wearing Grinch earrings in the middle of summer? That's your clue. That's your hint that I'm reminding myself of the Grinch mindset. That I can do the hard things, that I'm not going to compare myself to anyone, that failure is inevitable. It's just going to happen, and perfection does not exist. But I'm going to be the hardest worker. I'm going to do the things that I need to do to keep my business moving. And you guys can do the same. Live with the Grinch mindset, and you can do anything you set your mind to.